The damage was beyond imagination. After just a few weeks, the fertile fields of corn, millet and wheat were reduced to mud and bare roots. Barns were destroyed, livestock attacked, irrigation systems were in disarray. The whole village was in chaos. This was no longer a scene of wild nature, but a real attack. Farmers had to stand guard all night, light fires, set off flares, and even use drones to drive them away. But the baboons were too smart and stubborn. They knew human habits, waiting until nightfall or when farmers were off to invade, destroying quickly and in an organized manner like a trained army. In the screams and smoke rising from the fields, people understood that this was not just an animal invasion, but a real battle for survival between humans and nature. In many areas, life is no longer peaceful. The sound of tractors is now mixed with screams, stone throwing, and the roar of monkeys echoing from the deep forests. Each harvest season turns into a real battle as humans try to protect each ear of corn, each cow, while monkeys return in larger and more aggressive numbers. The government has erected electric fences and deployed wildlife control teams, but the results are like a breeze before the storm. Weary farmers watch their fields being ploughed, sweat and tears mixed with mud. And now, amid the howling wind through the empty fields, there is only one haunting question. Can South African farmers stop this invasion before it is too late? In South Africa, baboon numbers have nearly doubled from around 250 inches 2006 to nearly 500 inches 2022, and continue to spread across agricultural areas. No longer confined to the mountains, they have moved deep into residential areas and farms, opening doors, throwing stones, breaking fences and stealing food from warehouses. Large males leading the herds have crossed roads, climbed onto roofs, and even stormed into schools and markets. Baboons are no longer afraid of humans. They are taking over human living spaces bit by bit, plunging the entire South African region into a conflict between the intelligence of nature and the helplessness of humans. They are no longer afraid of people. Whether farmers shout firecrackers or throw stones, they just look back as if in defiance. In many places, life has become chaotic. Crops have been destroyed, fruit in gardens has been stolen, livestock has been attacked, and irrigation systems have been severely damaged. According to ecological reports, in the Western Cape alone, the damage caused by baboons and other primates is estimated to be more than 1.4 million USD per year, 2022-2023 figures, a figure that would bankrupt many small farmers. But these tangible damages are only the surface. What is more frightening is the change in behaviour as baboons learn to live among humans, lose their fear, and become genuine competitors for food and territory.
Yeah, this guy's very kind to the...
The invasion of baboons in South Africa is not accidental. It is nature's response to years of human encroachment. When forests were cut down to make way for farms and urban areas, when machines roared instead of birdsong, baboons lost their territory. Hungry, they flooded the plains where there was corn, fruit, clean water, and people. Climate change caused the dry season to lengthen, depleting food sources, pushing them deeper into cultivated areas.
How are we going to recover from this?
But the scariest thing is not the number, but the intelligence of this invasive species. They know how to unlock, avoid traps, dodge cameras, and even observe farmers' habits to choose the time to attack. Each troop acts like an army with the male in command, the females and young distracting, then rushing in to plunder with astonishing precision. And with the natural predators like leopards, hyenas, and lions gone, there is nothing left to slow down the expansion. In the middle of a hot noon, the sunlight poured down on the dry field. Everything was silent. Only the drone whirred overhead, sweeping over the broken cornfields. The hunter bent low, sweat running down his back, his hand tightly gripping the loaded rifle. His eyes were glued to the scope, where a dark figure was moving among the tall grass. His heart beat faster, each beat blending with the rustling wind. Then a large baboon appeared, its shoulders hunched with flesh, walking stealthily like a predator. It stopped, raised its head, its sharp eyes scanning the field, as if sensing a gaze from afar. The hunter paused, his finger on the trigger but not daring to pull it. The air was thick, even the slightest noise was enough to trigger chaos. He took a deep breath, the muzzle of the gun moving slowly in sync with the prey's breathing. Time seemed to stand still, leaving only the sound of his heartbeat and the dry wind brushing past his face. When the monkey turned around, the sunlight reflected on its red eyes, a look of intelligence and challenge. At that moment, the boundary between hunter and hunted was almost blurred. He pulled the trigger. The sound of an explosion rang out, sharp and reverberating in his chest. The gun smoke mixed with the smell of soil and sweat. In that moment, he knew he had won, but he did not feel happy, just a relief mixed with bitterness, as if he had just crossed the thin line between life and instinct. Besides, baboon hunting teams in South Africa are all licensed and closely monitored by the government to ensure safety and ecological control. They are only allowed to use air guns or small caliber rifles, with the goal not to destroy, but to protect crops and maintain natural balance. In addition to the intense daytime ambushes, South African hunters also use traps as a silent but effective weapon in the battle with baboons. They carefully study the movement habits of the baboons, observing the trails they often travel between the forest and the fields. Large metal cage traps are set up, covered with branches, leaves and dry soil to blend in with the surrounding environment. Inside, the bait is corn, fruit, and a little mineral salt, which baboons cannot resist. In the early morning, a thin mist covers the broken corn rows. The hunter quietly moves along the edge of the forest, his eyes following each faint footprint in the mud. Then suddenly, the cage slams loudly in the quiet space. The hunter stands still and watches, not feeling the joy of victory, just a heavy feeling, because he understood this was not a hunt to destroy, but a fight to maintain the fragile balance between humans and nature. Can humans and baboons coexist to keep this ecosystem in balance, or will we continue to push each other to the limits of survival? Good morning. Today, the first wild boar eradication campaign of the year officially begins. This is more than just a hunt. It is a tense battle between humans and wild animals that have been spreading terror for months. With close coordination between the government and the people, each red zone invaded by wild boars will become an arena of life and death. The question is, who will emerge victorious in this dramatic opening day? Once at the rendezvous point, there was no room for hesitation. Scopes were locked, eyes strained as they scanned the darkness. Before his eyes was a herd of wild boars. Each step made the hunter's heart beat faster. The moment he fired, the sound of the gun tore through the silence. The bullet flew in a suffocating suspense. From a distance, each shot was a life or death challenge. But thanks to the bravery honed through many battles, several targets fell, leaving behind an indescribable feeling of both trembling and pride. The scope was adjusted and the barrel continued to fire. The accurate shots caused many wild boars to fall as they panicked and rushed towards the dense canopy. Suddenly, the silhouette of a bull appeared in sight, powerful and ferocious. Heart pounding, breath caught, then bang. The sound of a gunshot ripped through the air. The bullet hit its target, rolling down the hillside. Several wild boars nearby also died in the blink of an eye, but others managed to escape, leaving the hunters with a mixture of regret and pride. After the fierce clash, the ambush site was changed to avoid detection. But then, a sudden sight made his heart stop. From the mist, a giant wild boar appeared, its bloodshot eyes flashing with rage. In an instant, it suddenly changed direction, charging forward at terrifying speed. There was no room for hesitation. The gunshots rang out in rapid succession, each bullet like a race against death. Only when the monster collapsed before him did the rapid breathing in his chest slow down, a mixture of fear and ultimate relief. While hiding on the mountainside, the team kept a watchful eye. Amid the dense undergrowth, the dark, sullen silhouette of a herd of giant wild boars gradually appeared. Hearts pounding, breath held, we waited patiently for the fateful moment. As the animals stepped out, the signal sounded, weapons fired in unison. Gunfire tore through the air, each bullet hurtling straight into its target. In the rain of bullets, the black wild boars fell one by one, leaving the hunter with a feeling of both shivering and elation at the breathtaking victory. Crossing the next mountain range, the scene became more tense as more wild boars appeared. On the hillside, a giant herd was slowly advancing, its silhouette clearly visible through the scope. Heart pounding, hand tightening on the trigger, then boom, the first shot rang out. Immediately, the whole team opened fire, bullets flying through the air, taking down many targets one after another. But suddenly, from the dark bushes, a giant wild boar shot out like an arrow, making the breath catch in the chest. The hunter reacted instantly, his finger tightening on the trigger at the decisive moment. The bullet hit the giant wild boar in the head, causing it to collapse instantly. But the relief was short-lived as chaos overtook him. Several more animals made haste to escape. Looking down from above the valley, the hunter's heart sank as he saw a new herd of more than a dozen animals charging like a storm. Though many had fallen, the wild animals continued to swarm, testing the resilience of the humans. Chasing them straight away will only scatter them, making them difficult to control. So the team decided to split into small groups, quietly hiding from many directions. The strategy quickly took effect. Each wild boar fell under the fire. Not a single target escaped the target. As the sun slowly set, we headed down to the fields at the foot of the hill. And at that moment, the hunter's heart stopped. Before his eyes was a huge herd, so large it was terrifying, making everyone both overwhelmed and cold. They are so huge and incredibly fast that hunters have to use vehicles to get close enough. As soon as the shadow crept into view, his finger trembled, but he still tightened the trigger. The bang resounded. The bullet flew out with a pounding heartbeat. The open terrain seemed favorable, but the wild boars scattered everywhere, turning the chase into a tense and suffocating challenge, where will and concentration were tested to the limit. Despite our best efforts, we were only able to take down a portion of the dense herd. Hunting wild boars here is not easy.
Sürün içine.
After each gunshot, the animals became more cunning, hiding deep in the bushes, difficult to approach as if they knew every move of the humans. Body tired, spirit exhausted, everyone silently gathered every remaining strength. The hunters breathed evenly, their hands still shaking. Each bullet counted like an oath engraved in their hearts. But tomorrow morning they will return without mercy. There is only one ending. Do you think the wild boars are really smart enough to read the hunters? Leave a comment below and subscribe to the channel to watch the next dramatic battle. Have you ever wondered why wild boars behave so aggressively? Is it a survival instinct, a response to protect the herd, or a consequence of habitat encroachment? As forests disappear, wild boar habitats are suffocated. With their natural food sources depleted, they have no choice but to flood into the fields. Fields of corn, rice, and potatoes became their survival feast. Hungry and desperate, wild boars were forced to attack crops, leaving behind devastated lands and bitter farmers' sweat. Wild boars have an amazing reproductive capacity. A mature female can give birth to 2 litters per year, usually in spring and autumn, when food conditions are most favorable. Each litter averages 5-7 piglets, but under ideal conditions can reach 10-12. After just 6-8 months, piglets are mature and enter the next reproductive cycle. At this rate, in just a few years, an initial pair of pigs can produce a herd of hundreds, putting tremendous pressure on crops and the environment. In Texas, feral hogs are not only a nightmare for farmers, but also a huge economic burden. With a population of more than 2.6 million, they cause an estimated $230 million USD in damage each year. But the pain is not just in money, but in shattered trust. The government has been forced to spend tens of millions of dollars on control measures. But with the species' terrifying reproduction rate, the battle seems to have no end in sight. Therefore, the hunters were forced to take up arms and face the herd of ferocious wild boars that spread terror across the fields. It is important that this hunting is licensed and monitored by the government in order to control the growing number of invasive species. As a result, the heavy damage to Texas agriculture has been somewhat contained, bringing hope to farmers. Don't miss out, click register now and join the most dramatic hunting trips. They were uninvited invaders who spread disease, destroyed crops, and destroyed every piece of land they touched. Wild boars carry dozens of dangerous pathogens, destroying crops and the peace of the community. If left unchecked, they will multiply out of control, leading to catastrophic consequences for agriculture and people's lives. With a heavy heart but iron determination, the hunter set out with a single mission: to track down and destroy the pest, returning land, crops, and hope to farmers